Alright, so this is going to be my Nightmare on Elm Street Q&A. As always, before we get started, if I did not answer someone's question, that usually means YouTube either knocked off the list and didn't either have it on there, or for some weird YouTube reason, or it was marked as spam. So I do apologize if I didn't answer someone's question. That usually means YouTube is being a dick. So, without further ado, let's get started, starting with Major Badass. And Major Badass asks, first question is, what more lighthearted trickster, like Discord, Puck, or etc., do you think could actually beat Freddy, or at least make him annoy him to the point where he just gives up and and just leaves forever? I think out of everyone, like you said, I think Discord and Puck would probably be the ones that would, and Mr. Mixelplix would also be those kind of omnipotent tricksters would probably annoy Freddy to no end, and just make him go, "This, I'm done, I'm going back to Elm Street." Alright, your second question is, do you think Freddy would be scared of Bill, since he's more powerful, because he can control the whole world on a grander scale? Freddy can do that too. A lot of people seem to forget that Freddy can also control the world of dreams as well. However, Bill seems to have it on a more grander scale, and plus he can use his powers outside of the dream world. Whereas Freddy, when he's out of the dream world, he's just a normal dude. So I think he would be a little intimidated by Bill. But I think both of them collectively would be terrified of Dream from the Endless. I think both of them, they would have an argument, and then in comes Dream and be like, "You two, enough," and be like, "Yes, sir." Alright, and your final question is, do you think Freddy would ever just give up because he just seems so fucking weird? And if he entered dreams to someone like Ed, Billy, or Pinky, okay, would he just, basically what Major Badass is asking is, what if what if Freddy entered the dreams of, Ed from Ed, Edd, and Eddy, or Billy from Grim Adventures, or Pinkie Pie? If he entered their dreams and they'd just be so out there, he would just be like, "I'm done." I think out of all of them, I think he would be terrified of Ed's dream. He would just not know where to go and just be terrified. Pinkie Pie it'd just be like the Dave Beaver dream all over again. Billy, I don't know. But yeah, I think Ed would make him give up, honestly. So think of those questions, Major Badass. Moving on now to the Spawn 117, who asks, can Freddy try to take a Butterfinger from a Bridge Nappa? Nobody gets a finger on my Butterfinger, Vegeta. Not even, Burn Guy. That's my abridged Nappa voice. It sucks. So no. What would happen if Freddy entered the dreams of Korra, Sakura, and Chitara? What happens? Okay, for Korra, I think he would be. I think he entered the dream. He would enter her dream and just be instantly like, "Man, this girl's got her own problems. I ain't dealing with this." Sakura would probably cheat him out or something, and Chitara, if we're going by 2011, the revamp cartoon Chitara, he would just be like, "Man, you're a bitch." No, and I just don't care about the 2011 Chitara because her whole story was stupid. That whole pointless love triangle between her, Lion-O, and Tigra just really put a bad taste in my mouth. Anyway, I'm ranting, so I don't know how that would go. Which version of the Freddy glove do you prefer, the original or the remake version? I actually like the updated version from Freddy vs. Jason. I actually really do enjoy the updated original look. But the remake claws are not that bad either. They're pretty good, but you can't beat out the original. Not at all. Also, big shout out to the new Nightmare claws. I dig those as well. Anyway, so thank you for those questions. Moving on now to Cody Bradish, who asks, so say one of the Teen Titans animated version villains had lost his life and went to hell, where he met Freddy Krueger and managed to convince him to go after the Teen Titans. How do you think the scenario would ultimately play out? I think it would end with Freddy running back to hell and being like, "Look, you didn't tell me about the daughter of Trigon. That." Yeah, he would run back to hell and be like, "Yeah, one of them's the daughter of a demon god, and I can't do that." So there's my thoughts on that. Your second question is, Robert Englund has made it clear in the past that he doesn't want to portray Freddy anymore, at least according to people who have worked on the remake. You can't say for sure. With this in mind, do you think they should have just left the franchise alone? Because I do. You said you do. Here's the thing. I actually think that Jackie Earle Haley could have really played a really good Freddy. I think he's a really underrated actor. Jackie Earle Haley can play those kind of really kind of mentally twisted type characters, and I think Fred, if he was given a better script, he would have been a really good Freddy. And admittedly, he tries, out of everyone else, out of everyone in that entire friggin' movie, he tries the hardest. And it still sucks, but at least, Haley gives it his all there. Now, I have not heard it now. While Robert Englund does not want to be Freddy anymore, this is kind of true. He doesn't really is like, oh, I don't want, I hate being Freddy and all that. He's like, nah, it's just I'm too old to be Freddy. I can't, I can't be running around chasing people. So, I gotta give him respect for that he's retired the role to that. And yes, admittedly, I think the franchise should have been left alone, but Hollywood has a different plan, so inevitably we're going to see another remake, or at least a reboot, of Nightmare on Elm Street sometime in the near future. And I say near because they're really cranking out these types of movies these days. So, yeah. Alright. And your third question is, what is the scariest thing to me about Freddy Krueger? I think the scariest thing about Freddy is that this is a guy who can get you when you're most vulnerable, when you're sleeping. And trust me, you are pretty damn vulnerable when you're in your dream world. Because that's the thing, it's really hard to control what goes on in your dreams. There's different types of sleep methods and whatnot. And sometimes you just wake up with something weird happened. Like just the other day for me, here's a good example. I had a dream once, actually this was about a week or so ago, where the dream I was having had me, I can't even exactly what it was, but I was like, all I remember was like rubbing my arms, like lathering something on my arms. I don't know if it was soap or something, I can't remember. But I wake up and I'm doing that, and I wake up and I see my arms doing that, and I literally had an audible, what the hell moment. So it's really, like, sometimes it's just, sometimes your dreams can be your own worst enemy. So I think that's the scariest thing about Freddy, is that he can get you at a point when you can't control your own situation. It may be your mind, but it's his playground, so that's what I think. Anyway, think of those questions, Cody. Moving on now to Frank Miller's Evil Hat. Hey, Frank! How you doing? Hey, Evil Hat, I was wondering where you ran off to. Alright, your first question is, if you could redo the Freddy's Dead movie, which is obviously the most shittiest, the only thing you need to consider is you need to kill Freddy off at the end permanently. Freddy still has to have a daughter, it has to be in 3D, and you can use any previous characters from the movies as either ghosts or souls trapped, Freddy is trapped, or as cameos. Okay, so going by those rules of how I would redo Freddy's Dead. I think one way I would do it is probably not do the whole subplot of this kid who thinks he's Freddy's son. I would not do that at all. Just have this girl who is Freddy's daughter, and she's trying to, she's been hiding for years. Kind of like how, what's her name? The female protagonist from Halloween. In Halloween Age 20, she, she quote-unquote faked her death and hid from Michael for 20 years. So maybe she's been, living under a different name from Krueger and whatnot. Maybe do something like that. More psychological. Maybe go back to the roots of like, Dream Warriors or something. That's the best way I could look at it. But yeah, it's really hard to salvage that type of movie, Frank, I gotta be honest. Alright, your second question is, out of all the movies, which one do you think has the most impact, besides the original, on how you view Freddy Krueger? I think the one that has the most impact, at least to me, is the third movie. And it's very rare when a third movie gets something right, guys? When the third movie in a franchise does something right, and it actually comes off real as good as the first movie. When the sequel, Freddy's Revenge, oh my god. Again, Robert Englund's the best thing in there, but they don't give him a lot to do in there, and all the other characters suck. Whereas in Dream Warriors, all those characters are, very likable. You got, you have Nancy back, you have all this cool stuff, and Freddy there's some just really great effects in those films. Just a really good film. So I think, that has the most impact. I think the most impactful is, after the original, is Dream Warriors. Anyway. Alright, third question. Freddy, is he a pizza or burger guy? Nah, my third question is that you had a chance to recast Freddy if for no other previous actor who has played him available to you, and you had no other choice but to recast him, Okay, he's basically asking, if I had to recast Freddy Krueger, who would it be? Alright, so like I said, he's basically asking, who would I recast, basically a new actor, not Robert Englund or Jackie Earle Haley, for the role of Freddy Krueger. Who would I have? There's a few good actors. Now, I'm not going to say, Cumberbatch or something like that. I just don't think, because Cumberbatch is cast in everything. I think one actor that comes to mind is Andy Serkis. And I think Andy Serkis would be a very interesting Freddy Krueger. He's very emotive. I've seen him play I really want to see him play a villain. I think he has. Well, Gollum was technically a villain, so he's got that under his belt. And I think he's this very emotive actor. He's got I think his voice could really work for Freddy. Not doing a Gollum voice or anything, but more like a gruff, more down here, more. I'm not actually doing emotive the voice, but he can do very guttural voices, and I kind of imagine Freddy having that kind of guttural, kind of just sinister type voice, and I think Serkis could have that. Not with motion capture, but with actual prosthetic effects. He's as one person once said, or several people have said, Andy Serkis is this generation's Lon Chaney. So I think he would be very good and very emotive with that kind of makeup. And I think he'd pretty much have fun with the acting. A few other people that would come to mind in terms of actors. There's a few I could probably see playing Freddy Krueger. I had it in my head, and it's gone now. Oops. But, I had it. When you had something and then it's just totally lost. That's what's going on in my head. Is that I had a few actors in mind, but now they're completely gone. They're just gone from my mind now. But yeah, first and foremost, Andy Serkis would be. I think Andy Serkis would be a very cool Freddy Krueger. Very older too, more haggard, more aggressive. I think he would be a more older, more haggard, more savage Freddy Krueger, if the script would allow it. Anyway, so thank you for those questions, Frank Miller. Frank Miller's Evil Hat 1. Moving on now to the Omnitron12345, who asks, Slenderman versus Freddy, who wins? Freddy. Freddy, because Slenderman can't tell dark comic jokes. What would happen if Freddy ever tried to kill Bruce Banner? The Hulk would stop him. Because here's the thing, Banner's mind is not a fun place to be, not in the least. In no way is Banner's mind a real go-to happy time place to be for anyone. So he would run into not just the Hulk, but also several different incarnations of said Hulk. So there would be the big problem there. Freddy would get smashed. Alright, and finally, Freddy versus Pinhead, who wins? I'm going to give it to Pinhead. Freddy was a man turned into a dream demon. Pinhead is an actual demon from hell, from some unknown circle of hell. He's obviously more powerful, so I would have to give it to Pinhead. As much as I'm a Freddy Krueger fan, Pinhead, would scare the crap out of him. So, yeah. So thank you for those questions, Omnitron12345. Moving on now to Ira Sutton, who asks, who would win in a fight, Freddy Krueger or Captain Kuro from One Piece? I haven't really watched a lot of One Piece, so I apologize for not being able to answer this, so I don't know. Alright, your second question is, if you could pair up Freddy with any female Disney villain, who would it be? Okay, female Disney villain. Maybe Yzma for lols? Yeah, Yzma for lols. There you go. And your third question is, if the world was in danger of being destroyed and Freddy Krueger was the only one who could save it, would he step up and do it? Oh, hell no. He would just be like, I'm already dead, I'm already in hell. What's the point? Yeah, Freddy would in no way scream superhero. In no way does Freddy Krueger scream superhero. So unfortunately, if it was left up to him to be to save the world, he would just be like, fuck y'all. Anyway, moving on now to Christian Sager, who asks, thank you for those questions, Ira Sutton and Omnitron. Moving on now to Christian Sager, who asks, could the Ghostbusters handle Freddy? Would any of them die, including the supporting cast? I don't think any of them would die. I think they could. I mean, they handled a Dream Demon before in the real Ghostbusters, and I think that was the Boogeyman or some other manner of Dream Ghost. So Freddy would be another, day on the job for them, but he would definitely give them a run for their money. He absolutely would. So I think the Ghostbusters could handle him. Second question. I remember in the last Q&A you said that the military was trying to weaponize Freddy in Freddy vs. Jason vs. Ash 2. What would happen if they succeeded? We'd all, I think if the military did try to weaponize Freddy, I think they would use him as like a dream weapon, as the perfect assassin. Get someone who is at their most vulnerable, no guards, no anything, their dreams. They would use Freddy to, if someone doesn't like him, go send Freddy to kill him in their dreams. So that's how I kind of see how the military would use Freddy. But yeah, once again, Freddy vs. Jason vs. Ash 2, Nightmare Warriors, it's not fun. Sucks. Your third question is, what do you think if a humongous mecha called Cyber Kruger, and who would pilot such an ungodly abomination? So basically, if Freddy got the robot look from Michael Jackson's Moonwalker, because that's what I'm seeing in my mind right now. Not like a giant Zord or anything. It's just like Freddy Krueger if it was like a version of what Michael Jackson suddenly turned into in Moonwalker. That's what I'm saying right in my head. Who would pilot it? I don't know. Jet Jaguar. There you go. Jet Jaguar. Because why the hell not? That's all I can say. Why the hell not? Anyway, thank you for those questions, Christian Sager. Moving on now to Lydia. Lydia Cerebros. I know I keep butchering your last name. I'm sorry. All right. So your first question is. All right, Lydia's first question is: excluding the first Nightmare on Elm Street and the reboot, what is your favorite and least favorite Nightmare on Elm Street films? Favorite one, excluding the first one, Dream Warriors. Dream Warriors is awesome. It's got some action in it. It's got some great horror, some great lines. Just all around pretty fun. So Dream Warriors. Least favorite? Dream Child. I hate the Nightmare on Elm Street 5, The Dream Child. I hate it. I mean, with Freddy's Dead, oh yeah, Freddy's Dead is terrible. But, with Freddy's Dead is totally different story, because with Freddy's Dead, I can find, it's like Batman and Robin. It's terrible, but I can find fun in it. Like, I can watch it and go like, yeah, that was fun. Like, I can find fun, it's like so bad it's fun. To me, at least. To me, it's so bad it's fun. But to everybody, yeah, Dream Child, there's nothing fun there. It's just bad. It's, I just find it annoying. Also, there's not a lot. The kills in there, which are few, are terrible. The effects are also no. The plot is also pretty bad. Is it supposed to be Freddy's son in her belly, or is it her? Is it the other guy's? I don't know. The plot makes no sense. The jokes are the Freddy jokes are stupid. Yeah, it's just not interesting at all. In no way is the Dream Child. I just can't stand it. I mean, with Dream Master, I can find cool stuff about it. It's not a great film either. I don't hate it as much as other people do, but Dream Master I like. Dream Child sucks. Freddy's Dead's also pretty terrible, but I can find good things about it. And Freddy's Revenge is also pretty bad. That would probably... Freddy's Revenge... Yeah, Nightmare on Elm Street 2 would probably be my second least favorite in terms of Nightmare on Elm Street movies. Because that one's... Ooh, is that bad. But that ending with Freddy running around killing people at the pool is pretty fun. Anyway. Alright. I knew you were going to ask this question. Your second question is, how would you write a crossover between Nightmare on Elm Street and Gravity Falls? And how would you have Freddy kill Robbie? Mwahahaha. Those are her words, not mine. Or should I say her maniacal laugh. So, how would I write a Nightmare on Elm Street Gravity Falls crossover? Well, how would I go about doing that? Sorry about that. So many interruptions. So how would I do Freddy in Gravity Falls? I think what I would do is maybe tie it into why we don't see Wendy's mom. I would say that the Corduroys, that's Wendy's family's last name, they once lived in Elm Street, and when Wendy was very young, her mom was killed by Freddy. So, grief-stricken, the dad moves out to Oregon, they start a new life. A few years later, Freddy's back, and this time around, he's going to finish what he started with the Corduroy family. No one as Freddy's always said, "You are all my children now." That's the best Freddy voice I can do. Anyway, so Freddy's going around killing people. Freddy running around, entering people's dreams, killing off people, killing people left and right. And I think, I would have, a funny scene between Freddy and Dipper where Freddy looks at him and goes, "Do I know you? You sound really familiar." Reason I say this is because, for those who don't know, Jason Ritter, the voice actor for Dipper, was actually he was the main character, the main protagonist, male protagonist, I should say, the main male protagonist in Freddy vs. Jason. Yeah, so when you go back and watch that movie, for those who didn't know, when you go back and watch Freddy vs. Jason again, just think of it as Freddy vs. Jason vs. Dipper. There you go, and I swear to God, your movie experience will be bolstered by over 9,000. Just have that in your head. So yeah, I would have that funny little moment where it's where Freddy would look at Dipper and go, "You remind me of someone I really hate." So, oh man. And how would I kill off Robbie? Maybe have it that, Robbie he's dreaming that he's playing at a big concert, and then maybe all these groupies start coming onto the stage, and they all turn out to be Freddy faces, and they all start ripping him apart, in a frenzied fangirl order. So they all just start ripping him apart, all these dream groupies just start "Oh my God, it's Robbie! Let's hug him and do all this other stuff," and they just start tearing off his clothes, and then start ripping his organs out. It'd just be this horrible. Imagine the death of that horrible death scene in Day of the Dead with what's that one soldier's name where he's just shouting "choke" on it, but instead it'd be Robbie crying like a bitch. Yeah. So there's my death for Robbie. And also I'd try to have Bill Cipher in this story as well, but I think I would make this story very Wendy-centric, because obviously Freddy's the one who, in this story, killed her mother, so I'd probably do that. So thank you for that question, Lydia. Moving on now to, what would the Doctor think of Freddy? He would look at Freddy and be like, "You haven't met the Dream Lord. You're just a burn victim with long fingernails. The worst enemy I've met in my dreams is myself. So you don't scare me." So, so I don't think the Doctor would be that much intimidated by Freddy. I think he'd be like, yeah, a part of me is my own worst enemy, so I think, I've got you beat. Anyway, so moving on now to King Nazaru, who asks, would you be cool with a Rosario Vampire and Nightmare on Elm Street crossover, especially since Skune and the girls dealt with ghosts in the manga while parodying Ghostbusters? Yeah, I don't know how I'd write it, but yeah, I'd be really cool with Rosario plus Vampire, even though I've only seen the anime, which is something. I've never read the manga, so yeah, I'd be all for it. Freddy playing with all these monster girls, Freddy being the way he is, yeah, he would have a ton of fun. So, anyway, thank you for that question. Moving on now to your second question. How well do you think Sora and Riku can handle Freddy with their experience in the dream world in Kingdom Hearts DDD? I haven't played Kingdom Hearts DDD, but I'll take your word for it. I mean, Sora and Riku have dealt with dream creatures before, and the Heartless, I guess you could say, the Heartless are magical in their own sense, and Freddy in his own weird way is magical. So I think the Keyblades could actually hurt him, honestly. Here's your third question. What kind of banter would you expect from Freddy and Barakapool? Basically, that horrible Deadpool, not Deadpool, excuse me, in X-Men Origins Wolverine. What would that be like? Freddy would just be making all this banter, and Barakapool would just be like, and Freddy would just be like, just stop everything and be like, dude, come on, this is my best material. Just laugh, something. Crack a smile, bust a gut, laugh. For God's sakes. I heard you don't shut up. Why is it that you're not talking? Oh, man. So anyway, thank you for those questions, King Nazaru. And moving on to next set of questions. Okay, next set of questions come from Burnouter7, who asks, have you read the fanfic Death Battle of Freddy versus the Shredder on DeviantArt? No, I have not. Sadly, no, I have not. Second question, what would happen if Freddy encountered Hellboy, Danny Phantom, Blade, and Dante? I think with Hellboy, he'd get his ass beat in the dream world or the physical world. Danny, I do remember there was a Freddy vs. Danny fanfiction a while back I read, and that was pretty good. Blade, he sticks to vampire, so I don't know how that would be. Dante would just look at him and be like, dude, you have the most horrible fashion sense ever, and proceed to shoot him to death. So, thank you for those questions. Moving on now to The King Called Gojira 2001. And his question is, what would happen if Freddy was in Godzilla's dreams, and what would he do to kill Godzilla? Godzilla's mind is not a safe place to be, my friend. In no way would Freddy be safe in Godzilla's mind. In fact, he'd run in there, see the just horrors that Godzilla was born out of, and run the hell out. That's how I see it. Next question. Next question comes from Robert Larson, and he asks, what did you think of the Rick and Morty episode Lawnmower Dog? It has a Freddy Krueger parody named Scary Terry. I don't really watch a lot of Rick and Morty. I like the show, don't get me wrong, I like Rick and Morty, but I'm not like I don't constantly watch all the episodes, sadly. I need to, because the episodes I have watched of Rick and Morty are really good. Okay, thank you for that question, Robert Larson. Moving on now to Treva Smolka, who asks, if the Babadook or the entity from Sinister ever met Freddy Krueger, would they fight to the death? Okay, yeah. I've never watched the Babadook. I know it's from Hebrew mythology, apparently, and the entity from Sinister is a pagan god. Freddy's just a demon, so yeah, he would get his ass kicked. That's what I think. Second question. What is your opinion on the remake of Nightmare on Elm Street as a whole, and do you think a reboot of this film should have happened? I don't think, remakes are inevitable. We could all, bitch and moan till the cows come home about, they shouldn't remake this or they shouldn't remake that. They shouldn't do this, they shouldn't do that. Well, unfortunately, Hollywood is a company. And with companies, certain people are like, oh, we can remake this and try to make it better. And admittedly, some remakes are better than the original films. I kind of like okay, here's a good example. Me personally, I don't know about everyone else. I don't know about all you guys, but me personally, I kind of like the Zack Snyder Dawn of the Dead remake over the George A. Romero film. Actually, no, that's not a good one, because that's one of my female favorite remakes. But I don't know if I would actually go have enough balls to say because I recently watched both, and I was thinking to myself, maybe it was just the action in Zack Snyder's movie that just made me go, I like this more. But I think in terms of action, that movie wins out. But in terms of story, Romero's movie is better. So that's probably not. So now that I think about it, that's probably not a good example. Here's a good one. Here's a good one that I think the remake is better than the original. The Crazies. I think the original Crazies didn't know where to go exactly, and I think the remake knew what it was doing and had a good story to it. Another good example of this is, of course, John Carpenter's The Thing, which is a remake of The Thing from Another World. So that's actually probably the best example is John Carpenter's The Thing. Now, if you were to compare the original Nightmare on Elm Street with the remake, the original's going to kick the other one's ass. So, I don't think a remake should be made unless you have a good story behind it. The people at Platinum Dunes and Michael Bay, they didn't have a good story to tell with it, and the actors and actresses. It's kind of funny because the actress who plays Laurel from Arrow's in there, and I was like, I didn't realize that until rewatching it on AMC one day. I was like, hey, Laurel, I forgot you were in here. Now I remember why. You didn't have a great direction in here. I felt so, thank God for Arrow. That's all I'm going to say is thank God for Arrow. Because, man, she did not do well in that film. I will say that now. Anyway, I've gone off the rails. Okay, your third question is, if you had the power to make a movie sequel to Freddy vs. Jason, would you do the Freddy vs. Jason vs. Ash storyline from the awesome crossover comic, and how would you make the storyline work in live action? Just wondering. Okay, basically he's asking, how would I go about doing a Freddy vs. Jason remake? I would actually just, do the Freddy vs. Jason vs. Ash story. I would really like to see that. I would actually do that. I don't know if I would go further and do the sequel Nightmare Warriors after that. Probably not, because Nightmare Warriors is terrible. But I think the one thing I would do is, just take the comic book and transition it to the movie. Yeah, that's the best way I could look at it. So anyway, thank you for those questions, Trevor. Moving on now to Nicholas Harley. I do apologize for butchering your last name if I did. First question is, what would happen if Kid Buu from Dragon Ball Z absorbed all the following? Freddy, Chucky, Jason, Slenderman, and Scorpion from Mortal Kombat. Would the Z Fighters be a match for him? Probably, yeah. I mean, he still got beat, and, if he absorbed these guys, it wouldn't be still much of a fight, so, yeah. Okay, second question. If Jason and Freddy fuse, what would the fusion be called? Fredson? Fredson? I don't know. That's the best one I can throw out. Alright, your final question is, hear me out on this one. Jason, Freddy, and all the Earth's horror movie killers from the Army of Darkness invade the following worlds. Valley of Peace from Kung Fu Panda, Bikini Bottom from SpongeBob, Danville from Phineas and Ferb, Beach City from Steven Universe, Equestria from My Little Pony, and Gravity Falls from Gravity Falls. Would the heroes of the universes be a match for him? Yeah, I think they could take him. It kind of reminds me, what you're asking kind of reminds me of IDW's Infestation stories, where they had, the first one was Star Trek, G.I. Joe, Transformers, and Ghostbusters fighting zombies, and the other one had a few other characters fighting the old gods from H.P. Lovecraft, so it kind of reminds me of that. Anyway, thank you for that question. Moving on now to Linerman0245, who asks, what if Freddy Krueger ever met Darkrai from Pokemon? I think Darkrai would probably, Freddy would look at him and go like, "Are you a ghost or a dude with bad hair? I don't know." Second question. If you were given the writing part of the next Nightmare on Elm Street film, what type of plot would you use? Would anything be added or new, and or new ways of Freddy getting into the real world? Human characters as bad as Freddy. Okay, so he's basically asking what would I do with a new Nightmare on Elm Street movie. So let's have some fun with it. Previous canon. So I think what I would do is I think the story I would probably tell is maybe a detective who is trying to investigate these cold cases throughout Elm Street, through all the past films, and I don't think I would I think I would set this right after somewhere between Dream Warriors and actually no, maybe after Dream Warriors, maybe after Dream Warriors, and it's a detective trying to figure out what exactly caused these cold case murders and what exactly happened so many years ago. And it would just be him kind of slipping, I would kind of make it a lot like an Alfred Hitchcock movie where you don't really see a lot of Freddy. It's more of the guy being preyed upon by his own fears and his own paranoia, and he kind of keeps slipping in and back through the dream world, and Freddy's just kind of messing with him. But yeah, do a kind of psychological horror harkening back to the first film. Something along that, but with not instead of kids, just one detective trying to figure this all out and try to solve these cases. Sorry for the background noise, by the way, if the mic picks that up. Second question is... Oh, wait, that was your second question. Your third question is, do you think Patrick Starr or Ed Stupidity would drive Freddy so crazy he would drink himself to death? Probably, yes. Yeah, definitely, more than likely, absolutely, probably, yes. Alright, Alright, thank you for those questions, Linerman. Next comes Wolfman the Impaler, whose first question is, would you read a comic featuring all the 80s horror icons like Freddy, Jason, Pumpkinhead, etc., and a House of Frankenstein type crossover with Ash from Evil Dead and the Monster Squad working together to fight the killers? Yeah, I think that... Why hasn't that been a comic yet? Seriously, why? No, really, I'm asking. Also, another thing you would have to put in here, in this type of comic, put the Frog Brothers from the Lost Boys in there. You have to put the Frog Brothers in this movie. If you just have them team up with the Monster Squad and Ash leading the way. Also put in Tommy Jarvis, because I don't know why. I always kind of gravitated towards Tommy Jarvis from the Friday the 13th movies. Well, then again, he survived the most, so yeah. Anyway, thank you for that question, Wolfman the Impaler. Second question, Freddy meets Krillin from Dragon Ball Z Abridged. What happens? Krillin gets pwned in the real world and the dream world. And your final question is, what would happen if you smoked some pot with Freddy while playing Five Nights at Freddy's, eating nachos, and suddenly Mr. Popo and Slender Man from Yu-Gi-Oh! Abridged walked in? I think you just broke me right there. Gotta be honest, I think you just broke me there, Wolfman. Yeah, I think you just broke me there, Wolfman the Impaler. I think what would happen is just be like, hi. That's all I can say. Hi. Alright, thank you for that question. Moving on now to Nick Lenz, who asks, first, before the questions, thank you for answering my questions, the Friday the 13th Q&A. Now, onto the questions first. If Nightmare on Elm Street had a new ongoing series, who would you want to see writing it and doing the artwork? Oh, okay. Basically, if we had a new comic, because Wildstorm was doing them. Yeah, Wildstorm was doing horror-based comics off of Chucky and Freddy and Jason and Leatherface. So if we had I'm surprised, someone hasn't taken that up, I don't know, IDW or Dynamite. I don't know who has gotten the rights yet, but so for a new comic, I would like to see. I would say Steve Niles, but Steve Niles is so hit and miss with me. He is so hit and like. Of course, a lot of his 30 Days of Night, those are really good. But I've seen other comics, some of his other comics, where I'm just like, God, this is so stupid. Like City of Others. City of Others is a really, like, not one of his best work. Yeah. So I wouldn't say Steve Niles, even though he's the go-to horror writer. I don't think I would put him on that. Maybe, I guess for let's go to artist. I don't think Francis Francavilla. Yeah, Francis Francavilla. He does some really good, just really beautiful horror-based artwork. I mean, you guys have probably seen his work in Dark Horse, and he's done some stuff for Marvel. So, I think he's currently doing the artwork, or at least the covers, for the Afterlife with Archie comics. So I think he would be, Francis Francavilla would be my artist. For writers, I don't know. I want to say Niles, but I don't want to go that. Again, he's so hit and miss with me. So maybe, I don't know, really. Maybe, I don't want to, like, say someone popular, because I don't know if they would do it, like someone like Mark Waid. Maybe, you know who would be an interesting pick? You know who would be a really interesting pick now that I think about it? I think Peter David would be an interesting pick for a Nightmare on Elm Street comic, because he's done a lot of mental stuff, especially if you read a lot of his Hulk stuff. A lot of psychology in there, and at its core, there's a lot of psychological stuff in Nightmare on Elm Street comics. So there you go. My dream pick for a creative team for a Nightmare on Elm Street comic would be Peter David and Francis Francavilla on artwork. I'm pretty sure I just made everyone completely jealous that we don't have this in real life. I am pretty sure some of you guys are like, son of a bitch, why doesn't IDW just take the rights right now so we get Peter David and Francavilla on this damn book. So, yeah. Alright, your second question is, if Nightmare on Elm Street had a video game, what would you like the story to be? I don't know. I mean, we've had video games before. If you guys have seen Angry Video Game Nerd, we have had a Nightmare on Elm Street game in the past. That wasn't great, and then I think we've had a few others, but I don't know. But I think the last time we saw Freddy in a game was in Mortal Kombat. So, what would be a good one here? It would be a really, I don't know what kind of game it would be. Maybe, I don't know exactly what kind of game you would have. Maybe something like Five Nights at Freddy's, where, see what I did there? Totally by accident, might I add, is maybe have it, you gotta keep yourself awake or something? I don't know. Not good with the game engineering. Sorry. So, your final question is, what if Freddy Krueger met Victor Zsasz from the Batman comics, and would they get into a fight? Probably, yeah. Absolutely, yeah. Like, I could see Freddy oh, you think you've got scars? Let me add more. Or something like that, I don't know. Alright, thank you for those questions, Nick Lenz. Moving right along to Andre Partridge, who asks, what will happen if Freddy actually met up with these characters? Bill Cipher, Princess Luna, the Dream Beavers, Alucard, Light Yagami, Orochimaru, Nightmare from the Marvel Universe, Dream from DC, and Korra in the gang. Okay, I already talked about Bill Cipher. Princess Luna would probably pummel him. The Dream Beavers, I think he would look at them, especially Dread Beaver. I think it was Dread Beaver who did Robert Englund did the voice of Dread Beaver, and just be like, I like you. Alucard would scare the crap out of him. Light would look at Light and go, shut up, Light, shut up, emo kid, and probably in his dream world he would probably take the Death Note in the dream world, write down Light Yagami's name, and kill him. Write out this horrible way he dies, and Light would die in the real world that way. Orochimaru. Orochimaru would be an interesting one. I think Orochimaru would try to harness the power of the dream, the dream power Freddy has. Nightmare would probably make Freddy his bitch, because let's face it, Nightmare rules the dream. Is the lore? Freddy's just a dream demon. Nightmare is the emperor of dreams. He's the dream master, the real dream master. So Freddy would make Freddy his bitch. Same with Morpheus. Yeah, Morpheus would probably also make him his bitch. And Cora and the others, I think the only one who he would really have any effect on is Bolin, probably. Alright. Second question, what is your favorite and least favorite Nightmare on Elm Street movie? I already answered this, sorry. And third question, what kind of havoc could you imagine Freddy if he suddenly had the Infinity Gauntlet and all the Infinity Gems? No child would be safe. And I sadly mean that in both ways. We're talking about Freddy Krueger here, people. That's all I have to say. So, thank you for those questions, Andre. Moving on now to Andrew Varney, who asks, Freddy meets Sauron. How screwed is the world? Very much so, because... Freddy would be screwed first, because Sauron would probably stomp him into the ground. And then Sauron destroys the rest of us. Alright, second question. Freddy reacts to the following: the Doctor, the Teen Titans, MLP, Chernobog, from Skeletor, Beetlejuice, and Darth Vader. The Doctor already talked about. Teen Titans already talked about. The MLP, he'd be a fun villain for them to fight. I think he would really prey on their insecurities, especially poor Fluttershy. Oh, Fluttershy would get so... And also, I think what he would pretty much do to them what Discord did to them in the Season 2 opener, but probably tenfold and a lot more violent. Probably prey on their, insecurities and whatnot. Chernobog would eat him. Skeletor would just look at Freddy and be like, now I have the power to destroy He-Man! Don't lie, he would. Beetlejuice would probably annoy him, and admittedly, Beetlejuice and Freddy will meet in the crossover fanfiction universe that I'm working with my good friend Craig Simon on. That site is coming soon, so be prepared. So that'll be a lot of fun. And Darth Vader, I think Freddy would prey on Vader's... Again, like I said with the MLP stuff, Freddy would prey on the whole insecurity and, letting Padme die and, becoming this metal monstrosity. Man, he would just have a playground in Vader's mind. Alright. What would happen if... And your third question is, what might go down if Freddy ended up battling the Sailor Scouts, the Crystal Gems, the Power Rangers, Finn and Jake, the Stormhawks, or the Avengers? All together, they would all collectively kick his ass. I could just imagine Freddy now, welcome to my nightmare. He turns around, sees the Sailor Scouts, the Gems, the Rangers, Finn and Jake, the Stormhawks, and the Avengers just standing all there, and he's like, oh. I just kind of imagine they're all standing behind him with all they're cracking their knuckles and just getting ready to pummel him. He's just like, be gentle, let's get him. But no, separately they would all beat him down. Alright, so think of those questions. Moving on now to Darth Venom, who asks, how would Freddy react to watching Nightmare on Elm Street remake? Very badly. Very badly. That's all I have to say. Alright? What would happen if you put Michael Bay in the room with Freddy, Jason, Michael Myers, Hannibal Lecter, and forced them all to watch his horror remakes? It wouldn't end good, just like the first question. Alright? How would Freddy fare against the following characters? Batman, Wolverine, Deadpool, Deathstroke, Baraka, Scorpion, Darth Maul, and General Grievous. There's some really cool trailers for, fake movie trailers for Freddy vs. Batman and Freddy vs. Wolverine. There's some good ones there. Deadpool would drive him nuts. Deathstroke would scare him off. Baraka is terrifying. And Scorpion's undead. He would be like, you think this is hell? Let me show you hell. Actually, no, they've already met, technically, in a weird way. Darth Maul and Grievous, I don't know how that would go, so... Yeah. Anyway, thinking of those questions, Darth Venom. Moving on now to Jason Voorhees 2011, whose first question is, what is your opinion on Wes Craven's New Nightmare? I think it's a nice little... I think this is what the reboot should have been. Not exactly the exact story of, oh, Freddy's just, Freddy's come to life through reasons. No, really, they don't exactly explain... Well, they do, in a way. Like, they explain, like, Freddy's this demon has taken on Freddy's persona, and now he's coming to the real world, and he's making that world, the real world, like the movie, and the actress who played Nancy's trying to save her son, and it's a movie within a movie. It's confusing, but at the same time, it's cool in a way. It's kind of cool to watch. It's a pretty cool movie to watch. I don't know, like, I think that's New Nightmare is what the movie, the original film, not the original film, the remake should have been, but taking that, that psychological feel, that psychological horror story that I was talking about when I wanted a remake, and applied it to that. Not exactly the whole make the movie thing, but that's what the remake should have been, is this horrible creature coming out to get these people, and they don't know if they're awake or asleep. So... New Nightmare is what the remake, the Michael Bay movie should have been. Granted, the whole movie within a movie thing is just, throws me off. I don't know why, but I just don't like when, when movies do that, like the whole movie, like, or when TV shows do that, like, it just throws me off. I don't know why. But I do like it. I do. Alright, second question. Which movies would you recommend to first-time viewers? You said Dream Warriors, the original film, and New Nightmare. Honestly, I kind of would... Yeah, that would be my picks as well. They're pretty much, with the original Dream Warriors and New Nightmare. Just those ones right there. I would recommend Dream Master, but I kind of like Dream Master for all the wrong reasons. Same with Freddy's Dead. But... Yeah, Dream Master is kind of disgusting. Like, there are just some horrible deaths. Like, Freddy kills some people horribly in there, and I don't know why. I just kind of like that. I don't know. I guess maybe it's the special effects and whatnot, and how, like, it gets really out there. That movie gets really out there, but it kind of stays true to what the Nightmare on Elm Street story was doing. Anyway. Getting off topic here. So I would also recommend Freddy vs. Jason, because that movie's just a ton of fun. But like you said, original Dream Warriors and New Nightmare. Alright, and your final question is, what type of Dream Warrior are you? The type of Dream Warrior that has atomic breath, Wolverine's blades, jump jets, and... heat vision, I don't know. Thank you for those questions, Jason. So moving on to the next set of questions. Okay, and those next set of questions are from the Son of the Dragon. Did not expect to meet Prince Vlad. The Son of the Dragon. In all honesty, that's a cool YouTube name. Thank you. So, awesome. So, the Son of the Dragon asks, I meant to ask you this on your Friday the 13th video, but was unable to, so I'll ask it here and include Freddy. What do you think of the MLP characters, both regular and Equestria Girls versions, would think of Jason and Freddy? I personally would love to see how Sunset Shimmer would deal with both of them. I would too. Like, since I've already done like the MLP question, I'll just go with the Equestria Girls version. I'll just, use that as a technicality. So, I think, like, it would be the same thing of Freddy playing on their insecurities, but I think he would just really screw with Sunset the most, because she was originally evil, and I think, like, I don't know why, but I would definitely put the Sirens in here somewhere working with Freddy. I don't know how I would do it, but, goddammit, are the Sirens awesome. Anyway, sorry about that. Man, I've just been, this Q&A just keeps getting interrupted. I'm sorry about that. Anyway. So, Thank you for that question, Son of the Dragon. Moving on now to Matt Bennett, who asks, "What do you How do you think Freddy would react to these characters? Fred Flintstone, Fred from Scooby Doo, Freddy Fazbear, and Fred Burger." Freddy would be like, "We're gonna make the Fred Club, and then it'll be a show called Freds. It'll be like Friends, but with people called Fred. You'd admit it. You'd watch it too." Next question comes from... Oh, wait, sorry. You've got 2 more questions, Matt. I'm sorry. What is your favorite kill scenes from each of the Nightmare films, including the remake? Okay. Also, I'm eating ice cream, so... God damn it, do I love some DQ Blizzard. Favorite kills. I think first film is Johnny Depp's death. That death is an awesome one. Second film, where Freddy just goes ham on all those stupid kids in the pool party. Third movie would be... I'm torn. It's going to be a tie between the kid, the mute kid, the kid who liked the puppets, his death, and the girl who wanted to be a star. And Freddy said, "Fuck the prime time, bitch," and just slammed the TV in her head in the TV. It's a tie between those two. Fourth film. The one where the girl's trying to exercise and her body slowly becomes a cockroach and Freddy just crushes it, crushes the little roach motel she's in. Oh, that's a great one. The fifth one. Oh god, those deaths suck. I guess the comic book kid who gets killed. I guess I'll go with that one. Sixth movie. Freddy's dead. The kid with the power glove death. Yeah, the power glove death. I'll go with that one. That one just makes me laugh. And for Freddy versus Jason, he didn't really kill it. He only killed one guy, so I guess that one. Yeah, he didn't really kill anybody. And you can't say that the stoner kid either. He just took over his body, and Jason killed him. So yeah, the kid who died in that one, and for New Nightmare, the babysitter's death. And for the remake, I think my favorite one for the remake is the guy who... I guess Laurie's death. Yeah, Laurie's death is probably the... No. Yeah, let's go with that one. It's Laurie, Christy, some other forgettable name, I don't care. Alright. And I already answered the question of what is my least favorite film. It's The Dream Child. Because I can find fun stuff with Freddy's dead. Alright. Thank you for that question. Those questions, Matt Bennett. Moving on now to Matt Kaiser 08, who asks, if Freddy was to try and face either Godzilla or King Ghidorah, what would happen if he tried to get in their minds respectively? I already talked about Godzilla. King Ghidorah would scare the crap out of him. That dude is like literally a god of destruction. I mean, he's gone from planet to planet, original Showa continuity, destroying shit left and right. So, I don't necessarily think he can, Freddy would be able to comprehend the, just evil in that monster's mind. And your second question is, do you think Gabara would be much more badass if he was like Freddy? Here's the thing, I think Gabara's a fun kaiju, but I do agree if he was more like Freddy, that would be better. The living embodiment of kids' nightmares. Yeah, that would be cool. Gabara comes off more like a Gamera villain, doesn't he? We would... Again, sorry, ice cream melts, so I gotta eat it. Where was I going with this? Shit, where was I going with this? Yeah, I think Gabara would be cooler because again, he was trying to be the embodiment of this kid's fear. So yeah, if he was like a kaiju made out of kids' dreams, that would be awesome. And he does. And admittedly, Gabara comes off more like a Gamera villain because again, he's made he's an enemy to children. Gamera defends children. Yeah, I don't know. Sorry about that little rant, but yeah, I do agree, Matt. Same for those questions. Moving on now to BooRat08, who asks, do you think they should reboot the movies again, or just continue with a new universe, or go back to the original? They'll never go back to the original, unless it's in comic book form. So, yeah, they'll probably do another reboot, inevitably. Because, again, it's inevitable, it's Hollywood. Second question, which one of the proposed crossovers do you think they should have went with Freddy vs. Jason sequels? Yeah, Freddy vs. Jason vs. Ash. But then again, that got a comic book adaptation, so... yeah. I guess the other one would be Freddy vs. Pinhead. I heard that one was tossed around a few times. Or there was also Freddy vs. Pennywise from It. So maybe that would be cool too? Yeah. And I already answered the best and worst Nightmare on Elm Street movies, so yeah, sorry. Same with those questions. BooRat, moving on now to Overnerd03. What do you think the Freddy vs. Jason vs. Ash crossover should have been a movie? It was supposed to be a movie, believe it or not. It was meant to be a movie, but Fox said no, and also Bruce Campbell also said no, for whatever reason. I think because he thought at the time he was too old. Yeah, I think his words were that Ash was too, he was too old to play Ash, and Robert Englund was too old to play Freddy, and whoever they got for Jason. Yeah, I think it was just like he felt he was too old to be fighting it out with Freddy and Jason, and I'm talking about Bruce Campbell here. So, and also Fox said no, that sounds stupid, and also despite how much we love. And I use this term in a fun tone, Freddy vs. Jason, it did not do well in the box office at all. It just bombed. So, it did better in DVD sales. Anyway. So thank you for that question. Moving on now to your second question, which is, do you think Freddy could take on the superhero, the Sleepwalker? Yeah. I think Freddy would be a Sleepwalker enemy. Like, yeah, he makes perfect sense to be a Sleepwalker adversary. So, yeah. Your third question is, if they made a remake of Freddy vs. Jason using the remake versions of the two, how would you do it? So wait, you're doing a remake with two remakes, and making a remake of a sequel to two... Does not compute... Does not compute. Danger, Will Robinson, danger. Oh, no. Oh, no. I guess, like, I don't know. How do you go about doing that? I get remake Jason versus remake Freddy. I guess since, Hollywood has no more originality, you can just copy and paste the original film's plot and do that, I guess. Alright. So thank you for those questions, Overnerd03. Moving on now to John Kelly. First question is, who do you think out of the 80s, 90s slashers would Freddy would have a bloody fight? 80s, 90s, outside of Jason, I'm going to assume. So, yeah, Michael? Yeah, let's go with Michael. Or, if you want to go by 90s, maybe go... actually, no, Herbert West. Yeah, from Reanimator. So thank you for that question. Moving on to your second, which is, if you could, would you give Freddy a second physical weapon, and what would it be? The glove claws are, iconic enough, so I would have to say, no, I think the gloves are enough. So, yeah, I don't want to take away from the glove claws. And how do you top glove claws, by the way? How does one top that? I don't know, with a with a bladed spatula, I don't know. But yeah, I would just keep the gloves. And your final question is, what would you most want Freddy to cross over with? Well, after that whole question Lydia gave, that whole Gravity Falls Nightmare on Elm Street question Lydia gave me earlier, I'm actually kind of thinking, yeah, I would like that. Or if nothing else, just have Robert Englund voice, I don't know, like a dream character like the Boogeyman, and have him in one of the episodes. Do that, and I'll be happy. But in realistic terms, Nightmare on Elm Street and X-Files, yeah. Because, let's face it, Nightmare on Elm Street does come off, like, that whole story you could rework, and I think they have done that in the X-Files, one X-File episode in one of the seasons, I just can't remember which. But yeah, Nightmare on Elm Street and X-Files would be cool, along with Ghostbusters. That would be pretty cool. Anyway, thank you for those questions, John Kelly. Moving on now to Serpent Tilata, and his first question is, who would be the best rival for Freddy? Bill Cipher? Yeah, Bill. Let's go with Bill. Your second question is, what kind of story do you think would include classic monsters versus Universal? Classic monsters of Universal versus the slashers of the 80s. So 80s slashers versus classic horror monsters. I don't know what kind of story you could do that and make it work. Maybe... I don't know what kind of story you could do with that, like, how that story would go out, like, maybe... Because here's the thing, all the monsters hate each other. Like, on both sides, all the slashers hate each other, like, they want to kill everything, and the monsters just want to kill, hate each other there. You hardly ever see the monsters, in the Universal universe work together, and in times they still hate it. So I don't know how that story would go out. So, I don't know. And your third question is, what do you think about a Sandman history involving Freddy? Freddy would make a really good, like, renegade dream maker. Maybe go with that kind of story. Yeah, go with that. Let's do that. Thank you for those questions, Serpent Tilata. Moving on now to Jerkwater 100, and his first question is, what's your favorite quote from Freddy? Fuck the prime time, bitch! I'm not going to do Freddy voice anymore. I'm going to stop. And also, you are all my children now. Yeah, those two, right there. Oh yeah, and, now I'm playing with power. I need to stop doing the stupid Freddy voice. Second question, what will happen when Freddy meets Mr. Popo from Dragon Ball Z Abridged? Kind of already answered, I think my brain broke on the previous one, but to answer in a quick way, it would not bode well for Freddy. He would understand the pecking order real quickly. Alright. And your final question is, what will happen if Freddy met Wolverine? There's a really good fake movie trailer of Freddy vs. Wolverine. I think it's still out. It's a really awesome trailer, and if you want to know how that would go down, go check that out. And that would pretty much work out for what I think how it would go down. Sorry, tongue-tied. Thank you for those questions, Jerkwater. Moving on now to Travis Rendon, who asks, which one of the Dream Beavers would Freddy have as a pet? Dread Beaver. Yeah, Dread Beaver. Sorry. Ice cream. Second question. Would you like for Freddy to cross over with the comic Grim Tales, and if so, how so? I don't know how the crossover would go down, honestly. I know in Grim Tales there are a lot of, really super attractive women in those comics, so Freddy would have a ball with that. So yeah, I don't know how the crossover would go down, but yeah. Alright, and your final question is, what are 5 pros and 5 cons with the remake of Nightmare on Elm Street? Okay, let's go with the pros. Jackie Earle Haley tries his damnedest to make this movie work. I can't say the actors because none of them are good. Even the actress who's going to play Laurel, who goes on to play Laurel, and I think she's the only one who did anything with the rest. Although Rooney Mara, is that the same Rooney Mara? I don't care. Sad part is the kills are not that great, so there's a con right there. The actors don't, outside of Jackie Earle Haley, don't give a shit. The jump, it's literally just jump scares. I'm going by cons now because there's a lot more cons to this film than good. The story was predictable. Yeah, there's the fourth one. And the fifth one is... again, the story's predictable, and the ending's very predictable as well. So there you go. Five cons right there. And I can only find one pro. I can't find 4 more good things about this movie. I can't. I just can't. Sorry, Travis, but yeah. Anyway, thank you for those questions. Moving on now to Yajiros Vaslores, who asks, if you could, would you hang out with Freddy for a week, and what would you do? Yeah, I'm not going to hang out with Crispy over there. No, thank you. No, thank you. Not going to do that. Second question. In a fight between Freddy and an expert predator, who would win? The predator. Because Freddy doesn't know a lot of how to fight, and you could say, well, he fought Jason pretty good in the real world. Yeah, that's because he was using Looney Tune technology. He was using Looney Tune logic. Seriously, do you remember the whole moment where he's using all like those hydrogen tanks and shot him off like missiles at Jason? That's literally something Bugs Bunny would do. Yeah, so I'll give it to the Predator. Alright. And your third question is, between Freddy and Chucky, who is the best comic horror villain? And who would win in a fight? Well, Freddy would probably win the fight, but Chucky, he's a tad more funnier. He is, admittedly, I don't know if, Brad Dourif's delivery is hilarious. Not to say anything bad about Robert Englund's comedic delivery, but I think Brad Dourif, when he's doing, Chucky, when he's doing Chucky's voice, he gets some laughs out of me, especially in Bride of Chucky. So, yeah. Anyway, thank you for those questions, Eugeros. Moving on now to Zach the Thunder King, who asks, what character do you think can beat Freddy? The only character I can think of is Alucard. Well, there's Alucard right there. Bill Cipher. I've got a few more. Bill Cipher, Morpheus, the Ghostbusters working together, and I have a whole long list because again, Freddy's more Freddy's all about scaring people, and even though in his in the dream world he's all powerful, he can he's still get his ass beat. And you pull him out in the dream world, oops. And I already answered this question. Favorite Nightmare on Elm Street kill, already answered that. And your final question is, in your opinion, when did the Nightmare on Elm Street franchise start to go downhill? You can kind of see it in Dream Master. Even though, like I said, Dream Master has its moments, you can clearly see in the fourth film that this is the beginning of the end, and it just goes down into a spiraling hill of pure shit from then on out. So, yeah, Dream Masters, that's the moment where you're like, oh, there's some fun kills in here, but goddamn it, this is not a good sign for the rest of the franchise. So, thank you for this question, Zach. Moving on now to Nathan Hanford. Sorry if I just butchered your last name. Who are your top favorite protagonists from the Nightmare on Elm Street films, and why so? Well, when you talk about protagonists for Nightmare on Elm Street, one just comes to mind: Nancy. Nancy was a great female protagonist. She managed to beat Freddy at his own game, and managed to sacrifice herself and give a chance to the other characters to survive. Also, a lot of the mental patients from Dream Warriors are very relatable, and it really sucks when most of them die off, all except 3 of them. So I just can't remember their names right off the bat, sadly. Anyway, so thank you for those questions. And moving on to the final set of questions coming from ActionFan19, who asks, have you ever imagined yourself wearing Freddy's claw glove all the time? Like, seriously, I see that at, like, FYE or Hot Topic or Spencer's, and I'm like, whenever I see the glove, I'm like, I wish this thing wasn't like $30. I would buy it in a heartbeat. And I know I'm cheap. But hey, man, I would love to have Freddy's glove. I don't know what I would do with it, honestly. I think I would just have it for the sake of having it. Would I just, home alone, just put on the glove and start typing stuff and be like, this is fun. Difficult, but fun. Alright. Second question. Would Freddy and Nightmare from Marvel Comics get along? Like I said earlier, Freddy's just a normal dream demon. Nightmare is the creator of a dream world. So like I said earlier, Nightmare would make him his bitch. Anyway, thank you for that question. And your final one is, did you know there was a Nightmare on Elm Street anthology series a long time ago? Yeah, I did know that. The anthology series was kind of like Tales from the Crypt, and it actually had Robert Englund reprise his role as Freddy. And some episodes were like these standalone, like I said earlier, Tales from the Crypt-esque stories, and then there was others that focused on Freddy himself. Like, there's a really good episode. I can't remember what it's called, but there's an episode that had it was a high school reunion of Freddy's class, and Freddy literally crashes the high school reunion, and it is such a good episode. But yeah. I think it was called Freddy's Nightmares, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, I think that's what it was called. Could be wrong, though. But yeah, I remember that. Chiller, the TV, if any of you have that TV station, Chiller, they used to rerun that a lot. Like, I mean, seriously, a lot. They don't anymore, which pisses me off. But yeah, Freddy's Nightmares was a lot of fun. Anyway, so that is pretty much the Q&A. Thank you all for the questions, and sorry for all the sudden stops and starts throughout this entire Q&A. A few interruptions here and there. That couldn't be helped. And also ice cream, yay! But yeah, once again, if I didn't answer someone's question, that usually means YouTube is being a jerk. So I apologize for that. And once again, hope you all enjoyed this Q&A, and I will see you guys later.